My name is Kelly Bowker. I'm a very ordinary woman on a very extraordinary journey. I think we get an idea in our head, which I've had since I was married. When I married Michael, there was all kinds of promises that we'd go to church someday and that we'd stop drinking. And it was going to be when we had kids. When we had kids, we'd quit partying and we'd do this, we'd do that. I had this Leave It to Beaver picture in my head of what a good Christian family was. And none of that happened, obviously. But thankfully, because if I had lived that life with the kind of passion that I have in my commitment to my love of God, I would have probably still been that little Baptist girl going to church on Sunday, and I wouldn't be doing the stuff that I'm doing now. But what I want to get to is it's an I'm going to even go, this is Kelly talking, I'm going to go as far as to say it's a little bit of an unrealistic expectation that all of the aspects of our relationship with our partners is going to line up with exactly what our vision is. My vision, I had to let go of my vision. When I let go of my vision and I allowed Michael to be all the things to me that he's really good at being to me. There's lots of things he's really, really good at being for me and that adds to my life. And there's stuff that he doesn't. What I would give to be able to ride when we have a long ride to go somewhere, to have a conversation like you and I had the other day, and 2 or 3 hours went by in a second, and we're like, holy shit, we got to get off the phone, you know? I would love to have those kinds of conversations with Michael. It would be lovely, but that's not the case. So then I have a choice. I can either let that be a sore spot, and I can judge him for not doing the work and not doing, he could be so much better. He could be this, he could be that if he did all the shit that I know would be so good for him, and I know a lot of stuff that would be good for him. I can go down that road if I want to, but that doesn't lead me to a happy place. So I have to say, or what I choose to say is, especially if I start feeling any distance between Mike and I at all, I have always been the keeper of that. If I start feeling any distance, I very consciously and deliberately, I start saying to myself, I choose to be in love with this man. I choose to be in love with this man. And I make myself do all the things that I know make Michael fall in love with me. I I'm do it as an act of will, Greg. There are things that are cute, sweet little things that I know mean a lot to him. I make sure that I open his beer when I give it to him. I make sure that I sit next to him. I make sure I do the things because I have made my decision. I'm going to love this man the rest of my life. And so if I start to feel any distance between us at all, because I can get, in being very honest, I can get very so enmeshed and so involved in this part of my world, there can creep in the feeling of I don't need him. I don't choose to not need him. I choose to need him. I choose to need him. And so I just set that intention to need him in my heart. I need him to be the fullest version of myself. That's my intention. And so I see him as the man that he is, as my partner, as I see the good and I don't choose to see the bad. I'm not a vibrational match for the bad. And so I don't know if that answers, but it's unconditional love versus conditional love. I love him unconditionally. He doesn't have to do anything for me to love him. He just has to be. And now, are there behaviors that I don't allow that he's pretty good at? Mm-hmm. Michael can get real pissy and real grumpy. I don't allow that anymore. I used to. I'm very clear in my boundaries now. I'm very powerful in my boundaries. I'm not going to put up with certain behaviors in my life anymore that I did when I was a younger woman. I make those choices. So yes, are there behaviors? So, you know, I have counseled because I've been a happily married woman most of my life. And I have counseled many, many, many people around marriage. That's just part of being an empath. People are drawn to you, they ask you stuff, you share what you know. And I've always had very good ability to help people like this. And even before doing this kind of work. And what I've always said is, I do not need Michael to make me happy. But if Michael starts actively making me unhappy, then we're going to have to talk. And those times have come in our lives when he has gone down roads of behaviors that just I'm not okay with. So I get to decide that. I get to decide that if, and we all do, if we are in a relationship with somebody and we, you know, there are people that you're just so far removed from. So let's just say you got married. Let's use a pretend couple. You got married, you're living a certain life a certain way, and all of a sudden you through your seeking, this person finds their spiritual path and they start to evolve. If this person is mean and disrespectful and doesn't give a flying fuck about your feelings and blah, 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 blah. But when you were here, you were able to put up with that. You lived with that because you were like, well, this is life. Marriages are hard and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to live with this. But you get to that place then on your spiritual journey where you're like, I can't shine my light and be with this person because every time I try to shine it and I'm in the same room, they're either mean to me or they disrespect me or they whatever. I'd have to get out of a marriage like that, and I would. I'm going to tell you honestly, I couldn't live in opposition in my home. But Michael doesn't. He's not opposed. He honors me. He respects me. He doesn't make fun of me. I mean, when he saw me, when the things about dragons come up and he said, so what are you channeling dragons now? And I went, well, actually, yeah. And he's like, well, shit, that's kind of crazy. And I went, it is. And that's it. Occasionally he will say, this is just stuff I don't like talking about. Okay, baby. Okay. I have you guys. That's why I needed my tribe, is I need to be able to talk about it. I need to know my truth and share my truth. But he doesn't need it. He's not there. He's not a vibrational match. But he's a vibrational match to my heart. And so that's kind of my take on it. Ask yourself, Greg, are you being conditional? Are you thinking, oh, if she would this, it would be so nice. If she would that, it would be so nice. That's the question, because that's part of your journey, is learning to love unconditionally.
Join me for a spiritual transformation. We will invite the guides in and we will follow their instructions. Check out my website at www.presentmomentmagic.net for more information.